Broads Media.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. What a disappointment. They absolutely should have won and then sealed the deal. Instead, Jason Tatum, after sucking all game long, drills a bunch of shots. They scored 11 points in the fourth. I don't count that last bucket that made it 13. They scored 11 points in the fourth quarter. Here's where I will agree with James Harden. They didn't make their shots. It's a problem. They shot 23.5% from three. You will not win many basketball games when you shoot that poorly. DeAnthony Melton with looks in the fourth quarter that honestly made me feel crazy because I don't want to go down and sink with DeAnthony Melton. But here we are. I thought James Harden sucked. It's not really rocket science. When you make your shots, you have a better chance of winning. And when James Harden is good, you win the basketball game. That's how it really went so far through 6 games this series. James was there game 1. James was there game 5. James was there game 4. There's your 3 victories. When he sucks, your team looks out of control. The offense doesn't have the same flow because everything runs through him. I'll tip my cap to Joe Mazzulla because going to Robert Williams in the starting rotation and the 2 bigs impacted the Sixers. Now, they were getting looks. They found ways to get corner looks because you knew that Robert Williams would disrespect P.J. Tucker and he would leave that corner spot to force his body into the paint and give Joel Embiid some more trouble. That was how it was going to go, and you slotted in George Niang, which at times created a big boost. There were a couple plays, and I labeled them the electric moments, and a few of those went to George Niang. Melton gets the offensive board underneath the basket while there was some traffic there. Somehow the ball's in his hands. He kicks it out to Niang, and the place lost its mind. Embiid's block underneath the basket defensively saves the ball from going out of bounds. Here comes the Sixers with a push. You look at that third quarter, I mean, they were miserable in the first half. The fact that it was only a 7-point game at half and then the third quarter got rolling, it's like you kind of thought that they had it. They just had to continue. But they completely got lost. Doc used the word trust. They weren't trusting one another. I mean, you saw Embiid frustrated that he had a mismatch with Marcus Smart on him in the paint. And he has his hands up and they can't get him the basketball. That's unacceptable. You can't get your superstar MVP center the ball when Marcus Smart is guarding him. That is inexcusable. That is must. Get him the ball now. Stop bullshitting around. Tobias is blowing layups. They couldn't score. You had every opportunity to do it. And you collapsed. Now, I've already seen the reaction, and I put my tweet out there not defending this team because this sucks, and I am gutted. But to say they're frauds, this team is brutal, no, this is what's going on. The Celtics had some disappointing games. Game 1, no Joel Embiid, they lose at home. Game 5, they no-showed on their home floor. That's 2 games where Celtics fans got kicked below the belt. I thought today, Sixers fans got kicked below the belt. There were earlier games where the Sixers did not compete as well as we needed them to. My point is, this series has been all over the place. There's no real flow to it at all. It's very hard to predict what the hell is going to happen. But I'm not giving up on this team while I am irritated and I am bothered. I'm upset. I sat there on my couch petting my dog for about 30 minutes after the game was over in silence, just trying to process what the hell did we really just experience in the last 12 minutes. There's no way that can happen. While all that is true, I'm throwing everything in the trash right now and calling them the same team that they've always been? I can't say that yet. I'll wait until Game 7's over. But, bro, do you really think that they could beat the Celtics a third time in the TD Garden? Why not? None of this was going to be easy. Before the series began, I said it's going the distance. Here we are. We're at the distance. You get a couple days off, so you get some more rest. Hopefully, that means James Harden will be a little bit more spry and have a little bit more jump in those legs, because the basketball gods know he needs it desperately. But you still have 48 minutes to do this. And they let this slip. They missed too many shots. The Celtics got off to a hot start early, and you had to play catch-up. Those first 24 minutes count too. And Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, while Tatum was brutal, and it hurts even more that he was that pathetic, but the Celtics still had a lead because some of their role players and bench pieces stepped up to hold it down until Tatum delivered. You could look at the rest of the series, though, and wonder if Tatum's probably going to start 0 for 8, 0 for 9, 0 for 10 again, because he really hasn't been that splashy. Don't just go to the box score and look at his point total. Jason Tatum, he did have really important shots made in the fourth quarter, in this one, obviously. But he hasn't taken over this series. So I don't know if he's automatically going to be sensational. He struggled against what the Sixers have provided defensively. And the Sixers were very active on the defensive side of the floor, and I think can still cause the Boston Celtics a ton of trouble. Embiid's presence, Tobias, although he killed you offensively. Even Maxey. I know there was a foul on the play, but for him to get back and block the shot that he did before, I think it was Tatum, went to the line. I didn't like how they gave up towards the end. You kidding me? Just lackadaisically running back to the other side of the court, when I would like for them to make a statement that you're willing to play it all the way out. Let them know, all right, fine. 3-3, heading back your way. We're not fucking going anywhere, though. We'll be there. Good luck. Instead, it's, damn. We should have won. We took the lead. There was about 5 minutes and change to go before it all turned the crap. There's all these stats getting thrown around town, by the way, about Doc Rivers in Game 7s. Doc Rivers is in a lot of Game 7s. Okay. He's lost some Game 7s. Okay. I acknowledge that strategically Robert Williams did change things, and the Sixers did have some things to work out. They had to see it. They had to feel it, and they kind of had to figure some things out. They got their open looks, though, from the corner. My bigger problem was lack of execution, and the guy with the ball in his hands stunk. That is my biggest takeaway from this game. I don't care what Doc Rivers did when he was with Boston, if that was the last time he was in an Eastern Conference Finals. I don't care what happened with the Clippers. I don't care what happened with the Magic. I don't care what happened with any other team. The Sixers with Ben Simmons, I'm focused on one more game with James Harden and Joel Embiid and this group. Because the other stuff doesn't matter. It's this roster, which we knew had a tough matchup against the Celtics roster. It's about this Sixers team versus this Celtics team. That's it. And if the players show up and Harden can ball out and put this team in a position as the guy who runs your offense, then I like our chances. It was irritating, though. There were some other electric moments, though, real quickly. Niang's defense on Tatum. Oh, man. It's like, damn. That's how you know Tatum was really having a tough go. When George Niang could do things to cause him all sorts of problems. Oh, man, when Niang was playing defense. And then, of course, the maxi clear path, which snowballs right into the disaster of the referees taking 2 points off the board and then making Maxey go make his free throws afterwards. Now, luckily, he drilled both, but that's unacceptable by the refs. So was the goaltending that they called on Joel Embiid in the early action. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even a little bit close. And there was so much basketball to be played after that. But when the Celtics have a huge storm and they have a huge start, 2 points goes a long way. There were bad calls all around, though. Doc had to challenge one. The Sixers got rewarded. Joe Mazzulla had to challenge the play on James Harden driving to the basket that Al Horford stripped cleanly, so they had to deal with that as well. That wasn't the difference in the outcome, but I still think I could point out that this is the Eastern Conference. This is a Game 6 for a chance to go to the Eastern Conference Finals for the Sixers, and you call that a goaltend, and then you take points off the board. There's a lot of fans in the stands that are going crazy, and then you're wasting a bunch of time on the sidelines trying to figure some things out. The pace of play gets totally killed. Momentum gets stripped. There's a lot that happens there. Not why they lost. They didn't make enough shots. They didn't put the ball through the hoop enough. But I'm also disgusted with some of those calls. So, that's where we're at. They stunk early on. They made up for it in the third quarter. And we thought, okay, this team is different. There is something different to the way that they're playing. They're fighting back. They're stealing the soul of the Boston Celtics. But you couldn't score at all. You couldn't score a lick in the most important times of the game. I think they're going to have to go back to the film, which we already acknowledged that Doc Rivers did that earlier this series, and the Sixers benefited from that. There was a response to it. Well, it's time to dig deeper, Doc. Because the Robert Williams things, I think they do need to acknowledge a way to get Embiid a little more comfortable with that. Your corners are going to be open. It is. The way the Celtics were playing it, they're going to dare P.J. Tucker. And he's willing, but he's also going to have to make them. A few of those started to spin around the rim and then pop out, and it was 50-50. It probably could have fell. It wasn't too off. But that doesn't matter. Also, I don't think he's going to be consistent enough in the long run. The problem is, if you want it to be Niang, I don't know if he can hold his end defensively. So what if that starts to get abused with also a Tyrese Maxey, who we know they could take advantage of too? See how it starts to cause some problems? I didn't think it would cause as many problems as it did, and I knew exactly how it was going to look. Even the Boston beat reporters, when you saw the news around 5 o'clock, 5:30 or so, that the Celtics were changing their starting lineup, the news broke from Shams. That's where I saw it, at least. He put out one of those mini videos on Twitter. A lot of the Boston beat reporters literally said, well, we know how this is going to go. They're going to sag off PJ. They're going to get into Joel Embiid's space and force some corner stuff to go in. Well, that's pretty much how it went. 23.5% from behind the arc. I didn't expect the Celtics to score as frequently as they were from deep, even though that's what they do. That's their identity, is take a bunch of shots from three. But when Marcus Smart and all his shots were going in, and Brogdon was killing it, I was playing the long game of, all right, weather the storm. So all their buckets were falling. Okay, at some point they won't. And that third quarter started to chug along. We all felt great. And even when you took the lead in the fourth, you felt great. Oh, man, until you didn't. Until you didn't. So, all right. We are going to start listening to the people and listen to the feelings out there. I can imagine there's a lot of people upset. According to social media, though, this team is the worst team to ever live. The Sixers scored 3 points in the last 6 minutes, though. Ay, 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 ay. Unreal. Okay, let's do this.
That was their moment, and they blew it. I mean, felt like they were up 83-81, and just every single shot just couldn't extend the lead. You felt it coming that Boston was going to come back, and they wanted it more. No one on the Sixers stepped up, and just felt like that was the game. We really could have done it, and we let it slip through our hands. That seems like the type of game swings all the momentum back to Boston. Don't have any hope for Game 7, man. Just hope it's a close game and maybe we can pull one out. But
here's my counter on the whole. It feels like all the momentum is in Boston's favor now. You could have said that after Game 4. You could have said that when you're looking at going back to the TD Garden in Game 5. You could have said that today. Right? Like, oh, the Sixers won Game 5 and destroyed the Celtics. All the momentum is in the Sixers' favor. They're going to play at the Wells Fargo Center with a chance to close it out. Celtics win. Oh, man, the Sixers are down 2-1. Things aren't looking great. Joel Embiid has the knee injury. None of his role players can help him out. Looks like the Celtics are in control. Sixers make a nice push. Bang, they're up 3-2 in the series. So whatever it's felt like, it's never been real. It's never been the case. That's why it's hard to judge and predict what's going to happen because it's been so sporadic. It's been all over the place. None of it has really had any rhythm to it. It's tipped the ball up, and who the hell knows how this game is going to play out. Sometimes there is more of a feel, even with games having their own identity to them. No game plays out the same, but even throughout a series where both teams have 3 wins after 6 games, there is stylistically something to kind of hold your hat on. Celtics turned the ball over a bunch in this game and all that stuff. It's like, what is going on? Yet they still won. None of it adds up. Now, James Harden was asked about why he thinks this series has been so up and down for him. He started by saying the officials told him at halftime they missed a couple fouls. Here was his answer. Tonight it was frustrating because I'm number 1 as far as fouls that don't get called. Like it's a fact. So it's frustrating as a player when the officials tell you at halftime that, hey, we missed a couple of fouls. There was some missed shots and fouls, which is getting me in rhythm. I'm not even going to look at my shooting percentage. I did a lot of really good things offensively. Defensively, we did a really good job. Their game plan was to pack the paint, starting 2 bigs, and they packed the paint. So they forced us to make shots. It's not a hard game. And obviously, I want to score the basketball, but I'm a playmaker as well. I don't look too much at scoring. That's a weird answer. No? 1, you can't let the referees get in your mental state. It's part of the game. And it sucks. And they are terrible. They should all be fired. Basically, every referee in the NBA needs to get canned and stripped of their duties and find something else. They need a new career path because they all blow. With that said, this is going to be reality. That's not going to change. So if someone tells you I missed stuff and that impacted you, there's nothing you can do about it. You have to keep your head down and play the game. Now, I don't think he did much well. I'm just being honest. Now, I know players don't like to admit that stuff, but if he looked at today's game as something that he feels he can go to sleep at night knowing he gave it his all. It's concerning. It's a little scary. I completely disagree with him. He's the reason why this team looked so lost. I thought at times he could attack. They were looking for the pass with the two-man game. Sometimes I thought he had his defender in a vulnerable position, and instead of staying with the aggressive mindset and going towards the paint to the cup, he stopped. He picked up his dribble. He's looking for someone else. He doesn't go to Embiid. He's waiting for someone to curl. He goes for a pass outside the perimeter, and they restart the possession. And then everyone's all over the place. So I didn't like that answer from James. Joel said, that's why we play the games, right? Game 7? Better answer then. Better answer the bell. Because I'm with you. Nothing better. I won't give you the cliche, it's the best 2 words in sports, even though I just did. It is. But it's only great when you leave that place advancing. It's only one of the best 2 words in sports when you finish it off. If you're leaving the locker room in a ton of pain and tears flowing from your eyes, it's one of the worst experiences ever. I haven't been gutted to the level I've been gutted tonight since the Super Bowl. So it's been pretty recent. And then from there, getting no hit in the World Series, and then when Jose Alvarado went up against Yordan Alvarez, there's been some pretty recent ones that hurt deeply, really bad, terribly. Still have nightmares. Awful. Haven't thought about it in a while, but now that I'm sitting here and letting them kind of roll through, they were just worst times of my life. I'm not saying Game 6, fourth quarter, felt as tragic as those. A Game 7 could, though. But it felt closer to that than anything else I've experienced since. I don't think that's unfair. I think that's putting it in the proper stratosphere, if you will. Back to the phones.
What? That is the sound of Doris Burke dick riding Jason Tatum that I had listened to for the past 2 hours, despite being for God knows how many. That was just frustrating, but in all seriousness, the Sixers had a real lack of urgency this game. That was, I'm not going to say I didn't see it coming, but I'm just going to say it was really disappointing. And I think that starts at the top with Embiid and Harden, and I think it's fair to criticize them. Embiid, for as good as he's been on defense, he's gotten in his head a bit on offense against Al Horford, and it's just been a little bit disappointing to see him kind of just go through the motions on that end.
I don't think he was going through the motions, and Al Horford is getting way too much. You made those noises in the beginning. He's getting way too much praise for what he's doing to Embiid. Embiid took so much time off due to the LCL injury, returns and plays over 40-plus minutes. When Al Horford dominated him down the stretch in the previous game this series, it's because Joel Embiid literally had nothing left in the tank. That was Embiid running out of gas. He had no fuel left because he wasn't up to speed in playoff basketball, and he had to go play 40-plus and be the guy. That's why it looked the way that it did. In this game, I mean, let's be honest. All series long, they've been targeting Al Horford and making him his bitch. That's real. That is actually what's been going on. They've been targeting him defensively, saying, we're going to score on you. On you. And he's been miserable on the offensive side because he wasn't as good as his number said he was. There was no way he was keeping that up forever. But defensively, that's how the Sixers have been scoring this series, is killing Al Horford. What helped today was leaving PJ and leaving the corner to bring another big body. This was a similar case against the Toronto Raptors a few years back with Brett Brown, Serge Ibaka, Marc Gasol. And Marc Gasol gave him a ton of pressure by himself. You add Serge Ibaka now, totally different version of Joel, totally different version of the offense. It's not exactly the same because of the pieces surrounding Joel and how good Joel is now compared to them, but it is a look that changed what they could do. It wasn't Al Horford alone. It was bringing another big and suffocating the space differently. I'm definitely not going to sit here and give Al Horford a bunch of a round of applause here for defensive efforts. The hell out of here. If anything, I love when he's out there because I know the Sixers can just execute better. You can take advantage of that. Absolutely 1,000%. We'll take another one.
Yeah, bros. Hotline, appropriately named. Last time I chimed in, we were flying high from Game 5, thinking we had this. What a disgrace. What did I see? Tatum held to hardly anything the whole 3 quarters, and into the fourth quarter, you give them 13 points. They get a 14-1 run at the end. I can't believe it. Can't you do anything and make it easy, 76ers? Now you got to go in there to Game 7, pull another one out of the hat. I hope you do. Go Sixers. I'm hurting.
I'm hurting too. I didn't expect this. I didn't. I did not expect this. And if I hear, oh, bro, you should have, because that's all the Sixers do. Like, they're going up against the Boston Celtics. If you say, like, oh, same old Sixers, they're 3-3 after 6 games with the Boston Celtics. Now, to be fair, I think I learned about the Celtics this series some things that I didn't know. I thought they were better than this. The Celtics are not some juggernaut that's unbeatable. This isn't the Golden State Warriors in their prime. This isn't LeBron with the Miami Heat in their prime. This is a beatable bunch, so it will be disappointing if they don't win. But it was always stylistically a tough matchup, regardless if the Celtics aren't as good as I thought. Tatum is a massive disappointment this series. Massive. You don't win many games when your star player shoots as poorly as he does in first quarters and first halves. It's nuts. I didn't expect Brogdon to make his shots either, especially after he had that travel at around midcourt. He had that travel. He put his foot down. He planted his foot down. He went up in the air. He tried to make a pass. Then Al Horford, they showed it on the broadcast, him screaming at the guys. They got their response. We had our PJ Tucker moment. They had their Al Horford moment. These two teams are at the top of the Eastern Conference. And they've had disappointing games. They've had good games. They've had strong games. They've had ugly games. I can't get a sense of it. But I didn't think it was going to look like this. I expected a better start, which would have went a long way because the Celtics, they grabbed onto that early and realized that we're going to do this. And when they go up 10, when Doc called his first time out, it was around then. Could have been 13-3. I'm trying to dig back into the memory bank. So much happened since then. But when that first time out happened, Celtics said, all right, that's exactly what we needed to do. Throw the first punch. Don't let them walk all over us. Don't let the building take over. Take the life out of the building as quickly as possible. From there, we'll establish our plan. So I anticipated the Sixers starting with an overwhelming, crazy building, and maybe they're up 13-3, and Boston now has to climb back on their end. And it got flipped. It's not the first time I said that this series. I thought there'd be more punch and more establishment in the offense through the adjustments that Boston made early. Because Doc did say, we knew that they were going to do this. We had this in our back pocket, so we kind of went over some things this morning expecting there to be change. Didn't really look that way. Part of me wondered if he was just lying to the public and made that statement to just somewhat take a shot to Joe Mazzulla, like, okay, this is what you got. This is what you have? We knew about this. We've been prepared for this. We saw it coming a mile away. We're 2 steps ahead. Didn't really look that way, even though they did exactly what I thought the Sixers would do with this being the case. So maybe it was, and the lack of execution is just throwing off my view on it, because sometimes it is that simple. It's funny, right? Why'd the offense look different in game 1? You mean James Harden scored 45 points? Why'd the offense look different in this game? Oh, you mean the game where James Harden scored 40-plus points again? He made his buckets. That's why the offense looked different. I expected there to be a lot of 3-point looks. I guess I just expected more to fall. All right, well, we'll be talking again soon. You guys enjoying this? One more game left, 48 minutes to go. I'll talk to you guys on the next one.